Gmagma, everyone. Hello, hello to the community call today with Lava and Polly. We have two esteemed guests that I will bring up in a minute. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining. Please also leave your comments, thoughts, feedback, your Gmagmas in the chat. We'll also be able to pick up questions during this conversation, and hopefully you have a lot of questions that we can address later on. This session will be all about staking automation, about on-chain capital efficiency, about yield optimization, and we're also going to introduce the Polly founder and CEO, Eli, who will join in a few minutes. But before I bring on the, main face for today, Ignacio, who is already in backstage, also please share the link to this live stream with everyone. On X, we're streaming simultaneously from the CryptoCito account. That is me. And you can amplify that if you are excited about this, if you're a loyal and supportive Lava community member, which we appreciate, and also Polly community member, of course. And also on YouTube, please share and amplify the link on social channels, Telegram groups, Discord, so we can get more people in. We already see 24 people are in here. Gmagma, everyone. Also, Tommy's here. Gmagma. And bring on the volcanoes as well, for sure. Okay, enough of me. I'll be the host, and I'm glad to bring on Mr. Ignacio.
Hello, Cito. How are you?
Buenos dias. Head of Product and Network Operations at the Lava Foundation. Yeah, maybe you can kind of set the tone and the stage for this conversation, what people can expect, and just briefly share some context on why we're here today.
Perfect, thank you. So today, as you mentioned, we have very important guest who has been working with the foundation and the community for quite some time. I think they are quite loved by the community. We will be talking about stake smart staking, and all that entails. We will be talking about why the foundation is working with them, how they bring value to Lava, right? And all the technicalities or specific little things that are important to know whenever we are talking about stake, right? And how does it affect the network?
Perfect. And can you maybe, from your perspective, also for those, I think you're getting more and more famous and popular within the
I doubt it.
Lava and crypto community, but because last session we had was really good, and the feedback was very good. But yeah, can you maybe share a little bit on your specific role in this, and also your role at Lava?
So I'm heading product and network operations. I am basically in charge of making sure that everything on the networks works well from a product standpoint and a network standpoint. I am engaged with providers. I am engaged with validators. I am basically responsible that everything works well on the network. From that to many little details, right?
Yeah, and we also have a couple of things cooking, specifically, as you mentioned, providers, node operators. So just bookmark the Lava X account, because there will be a few announcements coming very soon with regards to that, in terms of network expansions and integrating new chains.
That's a keyword, network expansion. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, but there will be a separate session, not for today, just a little nugget here, because I also saw people were asking about, hopefully there will be some cool news on this session today, which there are, not only related to what we're talking about when it comes to staking smarter and yield optimization, but also overall, network expansion. But yeah, Ignacio, I'll give the floor to you, and then we'll bring on Eli in a minute.
Perfect. So this is just a reminder. What we are doing here, guys, is that we are building the best RPC. This is our true North Star, and that's the main focus on everything that we do on Lava. From staking to validators, from staking to providers, all network contributors and stakeholders, including token holders, are helping towards building the best RPC solution. That's our mission. So before bringing Eli, I would like to just discuss a bit more or just share the agenda. We will basically first we will be hearing about Poly, right? We'll talk about why staking needs automation. We'll then go over automation design principles. Uh, we'll also touch on-chain capital efficiency, yield optimization, and at the end, we'll give you a summary with the key takeaways of the call. That's more or less. So I think we are good to bring Eli.
Yeah, also warm welcome to the
Hi, everyone.
Eli confessed to us that this is his very first live stream, so please be very kind to him, which I'm sure everyone will be. But Eli, thank you so much for joining. Can you briefly introduce yourself, what Poly is and does, and some context on this session today?
Of course. So I'm Eli, founder and CEO of Poly. We have been working for about 2.5 years. And so who is Poly? And so Poly is an allocation intelligence layer working with foundations and treasuries by optimizing token distribution and eventually supporting network health. So Poly, to summarize, balances between security, decentralization, and effectively profitability by generating additional yields that are generated from efficiency.
Cool. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I don't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Ignacio. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, if I may, right? What besides Lava, what other companies are you working with? Because I heard that you are also working with other foundations.
Yeah, we are. We are about to launch with Keychain from Latin America. We also support multiple Cosmos networks on our platforms, such as Cosmos, such as Secret, soon to be more. Solana is coming up very soon. And yeah, we have a bunch of other networks in the pipes that we're working on bringing on board.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. And just to clarify, because maybe it wasn't clear enough. You guys are not like, you tailor both retail and, let's say, institutions, right, or foundations, right?
So we focus more on tailoring institutions and foundations. We're more of a B2B company. We do have our permissionless platform at poly.co, where token holders can come and they can stake multiple assets or optimize multiple assets which they work with. So yes, we do. Also on our content site, solostakers.com, we have our dashboard there, so users can come and they can stake freely. Yeah, and of course, we also have our white label offering for foundations, which again, token holders can go and stake. But that's again tied into the foundations and what we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, and also I think from my side, to kind of recap, because I know we've been knowing each other for some years as well at this point. So for the end user, what Poly does is basically it helps to maximize staking APY, and it also automates and takes away the hassle from manually have to monitoring like your validator performance. Are they still alive even, right? Sometimes they are just down because they cease to exist or for other reasons. And then if you kind of just stake and forget, and after 6 months you check your position and it's not accruing any staking rewards because the validator is down, like, if there was just a tool to automate that process for you, that would be fantastic, right? On the other side, for foundations, companies, institutions, which is a big theme of this year, right? Institutions are here, and they're not here to play around. They're here to maximize capital efficiency, right? And for them, they're dealing with big amounts. If they can maximize their returns or APYs, that is has a big impact on their operations. And then from the third angle, maybe from the network health, which you mentioned earlier, network health, uptime, security, right? Like the technical side of things. I think that's also a very important point. But yeah, you mentioned a couple of chains. Ignacio, question to you. Why is Lava interested to partner and integrate with Poly?
Thank you. Yes. So we basically choose work with Poly because, I mean, in an RPC network, staking is not just about passive rewards and mechanism. And as you highlighted, running delegations on a network-wide scale operationally is complex. It's not just like send the tokens and forget about them, right? You need
No.
monitoring, performance, everything. It's also a way to align capital with the service quality, reliability, and the overall network health. We think Poly is a partner helping Lava introduce a smarter layer of delegation and automation. The role is to optimize and build a frictionless process to help execute foundation delegations in a more dynamic and consistent and scalable way. And I want to make emphasis on scalable way, right? Because the other way, doing manual things, is not basically scalable. And as Lava grows, the complexity for deciding how staking capital should be allocated also grows, right? Because there are more competitive, there are more stakeholders in the network, right? So that is where Poly adds value, basically helping delegation respond more efficiently to real performance signals and real network needs. That's basically why we choose to work with Poly. But I mean, besides we know them for quite some time, they can be with Lava since the beginning, since basically the early days. So that's why we basically choose Poly.
Yeah. Let me just chime in here. One thing that I think we didn't make clear for the listeners is really what does Poly do? And I saw that I forgot to answer that. But basically, what Poly does is we support healthier networks by balancing between network security, decentralization, and profitability. Like I said, it's done by allocating stake delegations to top performing validators, and in Lava's case, RPC providers in real time. We also compound the rewards with our dynamic compounder during ideal intervals. Now, the result of these are above market returns, which are a result of efficient staking, essentially. So that's also important to emphasize.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, from the validator's perspective, right? Like as a foundation, not only do you want to, delegate that automation process to a tool like Poly, but also because there's sometimes politics involved, right? And I think from the foundation perspective, it's also a very strong benefit to kind of automate that process as well. Because I've been also in the validators game for some years, and it's also a highly political arena to be in. But maybe that's another like soft reason for automating that. But okay, why now we established that? Now the question is, why do we need automation besides, I think, some of the things that we've already mentioned? I think Ignacio, maybe I can ask you first, because if performance matters, how do delegation decisions then keep up with it?
Well, I think that's where automation becomes necessary. Meaning, like, if we care about improving quality of service, then metrics like latency, uptime, and reliability should basically help determine where the stake goes, right? But those signals only matter if the delegation can respond to them in a more coordinated and efficient way, right? That's why automations help connect performance signals with delegation decisions, despite the friction created by the cooldowns. Uh, if we really want RPC quality to truly matter, then delegations also need to be able to reflect that, and that's how. Yes, that's why basically the performance matter. Yep. Sorry.
Ignacio, I have a question. If network conditions keep changing, do delegations really stay static?
Well, not really, because Lava is a live environment, right? Where providers and we are talking about both, right? Providers and validator at the same time. The performance changes over time. It's an ecosystem. It's a live ecosystem. Demand shifted. The usage also changes, right? So the network conditions evolve constantly. In that kind of environment, static delegations tends to fall short, and actually we have experience on that front, right? Our
Yeah.
past delegations were static. Uh,
Yeah.
we realized that manual delegations are inefficient, and because it doesn't scale well, right? So we actually need to be able to scale also on this front, not just in usage on network. We need to make sure that all the network scales at the same time, right? All the areas, and delegations are part of that. So yeah, that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then let's maybe move on to automation design principles. I guess that's mainly also topics for Eli to cover, and also going deeper on how Poly actually does that. So can you maybe, question for Eli, go deeper on how to create a system that rewards better validators, and maybe even like define what a better validator actually means? Like, what are some of the kind of data points that you have here? And also providers in Lava's case, without
Sure.
concentrating stake too heavily, meaning like having a very low Nakamoto coefficient to attack the chain, right? There's always also like a risk you kind of need to factor in. So how do you balance that out?
So, I mean, I think that in terms of automation is the how, but essentially, we're trying to achieve healthy networks, which is really the why. Because healthy networks, they benefit obviously all the users, they benefit the token holders, they benefit the validators. Everyone benefits from healthier networks. So, how do we achieve that? I mean, I think that it really boils down to three things. One is it's performance, avoiding centralization, and transparency. So let's kind of define the three. So performance, I mean, validators, and again, in Lava's case, which is very interesting because Lava has two node environments, okay, as we like to call them. We have validators and we have RPC providers. In both cases, validators and providers with stronger performance create a healthier network and therefore should have a path to attract more stake. Okay, when a node operator chooses to secure a network and they are very active and they're contributing to the network, they're up, their uptime is almost at 100%. They participate in voting. Their block creation time aligns with what the protocol and the network requires. And again, obviously, there's so many more parameters. The performance, picks up, and then a certain performance threshold is being set. Now, for those who either raise the bar or are maintaining the bar of the performance bar, they absolutely should get rewarded. Now, we're saying this. I'm saying this also as a delegate. I've been, staking and delegating for more than 6 years now. So, obviously you see that the top performers also give you the best returns, and you obviously want to contribute to the network's health from a performance perspective. So that's one. Secondly is, of course, decentralization and avoiding centralization. So Poly balances delegations across validator sets, which are either too spread or too condensed, to ensure decentralization is sustained. Another thing that we also balance is voting power to ensure that there are no voting blocks, there are no centralization issues in the network. And again, this is a very important parameter to keep the network actually healthy. Last is transparency. Okay, so it's important that that the community understands how node operators are scored and ranked by Poly. Okay, so in Lava's case, we have two scoring methods. Okay, now we have Poly scoring and the foundation scoring. Okay, Poly scoring mechanism, which I can speak to, is used for Lava token holders, like Ignacio said. So token holders that want to delegate and they just want to stake, they're welcome to come to poly.co and use our platform to stake their Lava tokens and generate above market returns. Now, those are, and really that's meant for users who are looking to optimize their staking yield while understanding that Poly also maintains network security and decentralization. Okay, the Lava Foundation customizes their scoring mechanism to manage their delegation programs according to pure network performance and contribution. Okay, and that is meant to keep their Lava. The Lava Foundation is a big token holder in the network, and it is important and vital that they keep these standards in order to ensure that the network is at its top performance and it is secure, and it is, rewarding users and also the participants in the security process in the best way possible. Okay. Now, again, the foundation scoring is determined exclusively by the foundation, and that is something that we support, we help them, and really kind of dictate according to that. Now, what I do want to kind of, again, for transparency perspective, I want to dive in a little deeper into how the Poly scoring mechanism actually works, and to throw a few, kind of
that's amazing.
Yeah. So first of all, Poly scoring mechanisms validates validator performance by two factors. Okay, security and profitability. Okay, which, by the way, we also happened to speak about this in the last Cosmoverse, which we were participants in. So let's break that down. Security. Okay, validator performance broken down into specific metrics of contribution to the network, voting power, uptime, and jailing. Okay, security, by the way, has the most weight in our scoring, with more than 75% of redelegations happening on the Lava network triggered due to security preserving reasons. Okay, now that could be like Cito, like you said, what if a validator is offline, or a validator is on bonding? Okay, which we found a big problem with that. With like, I think Ignacio, it was about 80 million tokens which were distributed into
around
idle validators. Yeah, idle validators, what we found. So that's super important, to maintain that on an ongoing basis. The second factor is profitability. Okay, what we measure in profitability is commission, reward generation rate, and slashing. Okay, profitability reasons cause for about 25% of redelegations. Okay, from Poly scoring perspective. Now, that really comes to show. Now, again, here's the interesting part. This is something that we found out, as we were kind of like, doing this. We saw that by redelegating due to security purposes, we're actually contributing to the profitability of the staking mechanism. And it makes sense. If you're going to go to top performers, they're going to be the best reward generators necessarily. And so you're going to get the best returns from that. So, yeah.
May I jump in with a question?
Sure.
How do we make, for example, that system transparent enough for the community to understand it and trust it?
So, okay. So first of all, for Poly.co, any delegator, and this is private for them, but any delegator sees they have a redelegation log. Every time a redelegation happens, okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, it's a stated reason for that. So they understand the reason for that. Okay, and it's very explanatory. I mean, we are also working on doing a better job to convey those reasons. Okay, as we speak. When it comes to Lava's case, we have our public dashboard, which is connected directly to the delegation program. Every redelegation which happens is happening for a very, very specific reason. And once it happens, it is automatically posted on the redelegation log, which anyone can access and see.
For the people who doesn't know, this delegation dashboard allows the foundation to basically control the delegation. It allows us to configure our own parameters, right, for how we basically determine the best validators on the network, and also provides the list of the top validators, right, the top delegations, the amounts, the metrics, etc. So it's a very nice and extremely good looking tool for validators to know their own scoring and where do they sit on the current delegation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move to the next slide if we can. Yes, on-chain capital efficiency. Okay, so who would like to start?
I would be happy to. A lot of interesting points here. So, first of all, let's talk a little bit about idle stake. So, idle stake is essentially, like we see here, is dead capital. Okay, it's capital that is not effectively and actively supporting the best outcomes, and is not helping the network. Now, from a network health perspective. Okay, from a capital efficiency standpoint, it actually is inefficient. I mean, there is no capital efficiency here with idle stake. Ignacio, what do you, like, from your perspective, how do you see that?
I agree. I think idle stake or dead capital, right? There are different forms or definitions. One could be cooldown periods, right? Like the unbonding. The other one could be stake delegated to a provider or a validator that is offline, which, as you mentioned, it happened in the past. And it's still happening. There are a few token holders that are dormant at the wheel, right? And they don't realize that they are not generating any performance on that capital.
Yeah.
It's basically it's inefficient capital, right? That's why I think it's important having like a dynamic allocation, right?
Yeah.
Where you
Yeah.
have the improved capital efficiency, you can move stake more intelligently, and basically you put the capital to work, right? Where it creates the most value, not only for the
Totally.
staker but to the network as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And here's the thing, you know, with I mean, I couldn't agree more. You know, I mean, with especially, you know, with blockchain, uh, blockchain environments that are basically, you know, like are asking for this, and for the first time in history, we actually have this ability, you know, to allocate in real time and understand, you know, kind of where the best places to allocate to, so the network, you know, is efficient, and again, it's profitable for those who are staking and are securing it. And so that is, I feel, you know, it's something that we see as something that, you know, obviously, like what we said, contributes to the network's health, and the profitability of it. So it's super important that it's there.
Yes. And another point in here is basically aligning rewards with the real consumer demands, right? Like rewards should basically rewards should reflect real usage, right? And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
real usage translate to real service quality, and
correct.
that's the best way to keep token holders happy and network happy and RPC consumers happy. So
Yes.
aligns rewards with real consumers, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think one of the best examples that we saw. By the way, this just brings up an interesting point about, you know, Lava's RPC network, which I find one of the most really fascinating innovations in blockchain technology in kind of the last few years. And right when, you know, when that was launched, so we did see, you know, how, you know, effective staking actually, you know, balances the network, and kind of like, how does it make the entire thing just work a lot better. And because of, you know, because of you know, how because of dynamic allocation, everything that we've been discussing, how we saw how it improves the efficiency of the actual RPC network, which was a great thing to see. Now, again, the RPC network, unlike the native staking network, is a much higher velocity network, so you can actually see the effects a lot quicker. That's
Yes.
just one other thing I wanted to throw in there.
And just to define the point on this slide is that the point is not to move capital just for the sake of moving it, but is to make sure that the capital supports the network that actually needs it, right? So yeah, I think we can move to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have one wild card question on that topic, mostly for Eli, but also Ignacio, if you have thoughts, would be interesting. Like with the AI era that we're in, how do you envision the end game for on-chain capital efficiency? Because I think, I mean, proof of stake in general is like a very kind of new concept to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And there was the first wave of, you know, user adoption, and there were this whole airdrop phase back in 2021, 2, and maybe 3. Now the institutions are here. AI has made substantial progress. So how do you view that all kind of converging, and what do you think is the end game, or is that impossible to say right now?
I mean, I think that we still have a lot to see in what evolves. But like you said, I mean, POS is a very new concept still. You know, it really kind of, I want to say, it started to take off somewhere, like you said, around 21. And you know, the notion here, the initial understanding that, you know, someone can take tokens and lock them up in order for the purpose of securing, a network, and they receive rewards for that. That to itself is, mind blowing to a lot of people. Like also a lot of people in finance that I had the opportunity to speak to, or institutions that I had the opportunity to speak to, they're like, what? Because everyone's like, hey, you lock up money, you receive yield from the bank. The bank pays you the yield. It's like, no, in this case, you actually, because you are securing the network and you're risking your tokens to secure the network, you get rewarded for that. Now, that to itself, is a mind-blowing concept. But underneath that, and this is kind of where AI really steps in, at the end of the day, if you're going to secure the network, then you have to constantly monitor it. Okay, you have to constantly see, what actually works. Where does the capital work best? Now the thing is again, blockchain networks are very dynamic in that regard. Okay, like even if a top validator, okay, is going to secure the network, does an amazing job. Okay, they are not going to be consistent in their quality and in the returns that they generate because of the network conditions. Okay, because of what the network kind of like dictates and how it works. So that's where the role of AI really comes in. Okay, because at the end of the day, if the network is very dynamic, and these networks are only going to become more and more and more dynamic. I mean, they're going to become like, as they grow, they're going to become like, we're going to have a lot of movements happening around, different transaction sizes happening in different, kind of like different times, different periods. You need to ensure that really kind of like, that the security capital, what we call, goes to those top performing operators, so they can, again, ensure the security of the network. Now, we still have a long way to go, the way that I see it. It's kind of like a term that we're learning more and more. It also fits in with AI. I mean, obviously it's not AI, but so we're calling allocation intelligence. And allocation, and learning how to allocate a lot smarter when it comes to, again, I mean, there's this balance of, network health, and then profitability for the people who are actually looking to like stake their reward, their tokens in order to generate rewards. So that's the balance that we see. And I also think that's where really the role of AI is going to be in this new era.
100%, I agree with that. Don't need to ask me that question.
And let's move to yield optimization, which I think is the second last slide for today. And then also, we're looking forward to your questions in the chat. I don't see any yet, but please drop your questions. A lot of big magmas, which is good. Also, greetings to Eli and Polly.
Okay, so I want to be the first asking questions then, okay. If I may.
Sure.
How do, and this is for you, Eli, that you like to speak. How do we tie rewards to real usage and reliable performance?
So, like we said, so we tie that. We tie that into a few things, into how real rewards should be in terms of usage. So first of all, like you said, yield should be coming from real network usage. And we at Poly, we reward consistent performance quality. Okay, so if we see we have great validators out there that are putting in a lot of great work into it, and you just see that they're like, their metrics are at best, they're the best, and they kind of like keep the network they're very consistent in their performance. So obviously we want to reward that. Second, we think that better allocation, like I said before, it compounds over time. Okay, once you reward top performers, it makes the network healthier, more decentralized, and more profitable. Okay, and then lastly, the last point we didn't talk about too much is really compounding. Okay, and we also do that. We with our dynamic compounder, but compounding rewards not only increases profitability, but it also increases security. Okay, because you keep tokens locked in more. So obviously, more stake is eventually being distributed slower, but again, it is eventually with time being more tokens are being distributed across different validators. They also reduce supply. Okay, you keep the supply inside for securing the network, which contributes to the long-term value of the token at the end of the day.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Question to Ignacio. What kind of long-term effect do better reward decisions create over time?
Well, I think rewards should basically follow real usage and real performance. We should definitely prioritize uptime, all the performance metrics, uptime, reliability, latency, and consistency, right? Which is not a metric, but is well, kind of, right? Make sure that it is consistent. We need strong providers. Strong providers should earn more because they add more value to the network, right? They process more relays because they have better quality of service, then they are being paired with consumers, right? So the better your provider quality of service is, the more you will work, therefore the more your rewards will be. Weak and inconsistent performance should not be rewarded the same way, right? And I think that's how incentives basically strengthen the network health over time, right?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like, one of the main points of this session is also to really highlight the importance of network health, yield optimization, and how that all correlates, because I think that is really, really important. I think we have one more question for Eli. Yes. What does better yield really mean for the network? Maybe your perspective, and then we do a quick run-up.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I mean, it kind of like repeats itself. The way that we see it, that better yield is, first of all, yield that is being generated, like we said, by top performers. And again, what Ignacio said, that underperformers should not be rewarded, because once you keep a certain performance threshold and expectation, the network works better, yield is generated better. And again, I think that that's from the allocation perspective. The compounding perspective is also very important over here, and that's really how the way that we see it is like the combination of the two, in a very interesting way, generates better network health, better profitability for the users, and and at the end of the day, it kind of like tickles down in long term. It also trickles down into the value of the actual token, because users know, okay, like big portion of the network is securing itself. It is rewarding top performers. So performance is something that's being, is something important for this network to actually, pay attention to. So it creates reliability.
So the goal is not actually just have more yield. It's actually have more healthier yield, right? More sustainable and better aligned with the quality and the network, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's now we have the takeaways. So just to say that we are reaching to the end, and we would like to leave you with some quick takeaways or summary of what we have discussed. Sorry. So Poly is Lava's automation partner for smarter delegation. That's clear and defined, and we explain why we pick them, right? Staking in an RPC network should definitely reflect provider and validator performance aligned with real network needs, which is something that we want to highlight in here, right? That's why the automation. Manual delegations definitely are inefficient as the network scales, right? Automations help coordinate stake with metrics, with the performance metrics like uptime, latency, and reliability. And the system is designed around performance, risk awareness, transparency, and decentralizational safeguards, right? That's what Eli was mentioning before. So better capital allocation definitely improves how both network quality and long-term yield works, right? So it helps the network to become healthier together, more or less. Yes. Good. I don't know, Sito, if we have any other remarks, or you guys or Eli would like to have like I don't know, say something extra?
I think before Eli can have the closing words, I think this is a perfect question to end the session. What kind of collaboration are we expecting to see between Lava and Poly? Maybe you can just like summarize. I mean, we touched upon everything, but maybe it's a good note to end the session. Whoever wants to take this away.
I can take that away. We expect more work, more contributor work. I mean, it's something that we didn't mention it in here. I think we forgot, but Poly is a key contributor in our network, right? So they will definitely be more involved on how the network actually works, what we are building, right? You will see Eli's face more often. Probably once a quarter or maybe more or less, I don't know, but definitely they will be around. They are building together with us, right? I mean, right now what they are helping us is improving our operational focus on delegations, right, on validators. There could be a possibility that we also do that with the providers delegation that we are simply testing right now. So there are definitely more collaborations that we will work together with Poly in the future.
Yeah, and our goal is to really streamline the staking experience for Lava token holders. Of course, the foundation, working very close with the foundation and making sure that the delegation programs serve the validators in the best possible way. We're also exploring some specific offerings for validators, which we're working with the foundations these days and figuring out how to do that. But so that validators can see how they're performing and help them perform better, because at the end of the day, it's all within our interest to make the network work better, because in that way everyone wins. And yeah, we're working on a few other things to really kind of help improve network security and network health with the Lava Foundation.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Also, Irene is looking forward to see your face more often, Eli. So we'll take note of that. As we mentioned earlier, also, there is a couple of announcements coming very soon with regards to network expansions on Lava network itself, more chain integrations. So any provider that is listening right now, get ready. And,
we have good news. Yes.
We have some good news there, and maybe also get in touch with the team. But yeah, that's all. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining during these times, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. See you around. Bye-bye.